Next, let us see the statement for Beer's law. So Beer's law states that when a beam of monochromatic radiation is passed through an absorbing medium, okay, when we are passing a monochromatic radiation into absorbing medium, and that medium consists of homogeneous mixture, okay, so having a homogeneous absorbing medium, when it is sent to a homogeneous absorbing medium, the rate of decrease of the intensity of the radiation, the rate of decrease of the intensity of radiation with increase in the concentration of the absorbing species is directly proportional to the intensity of the incident light. Okay, it's directly proportional to the intensity of the incident light. So let us put the statement in terms of an expression. So he said that minus di by dc is directly proportional to I. Okay, so the rate of intensity of the monochromatic, whatever monochromatic radiation, beam of monochromatic radiation that we are sending it through the homogeneous mixture of the sample, okay, homogeneous absorbing medium. Okay, so the rate of decrease in the intensity of the radiation with increase in concentration. So here minus di, okay, minus indicates there is a decrease in intensity with respect to increase in concentration. So the decrease in the intensity of radiation with increase in the concentration is directly proportional to the incident radiation. Okay, there is a direct proportionality. Okay, so here from this statement that he has given, we are going to derive an expression. So here, to remove this proportionality, we introduce a constant k. Okay, k is nothing but the constant of proportionality. Okay, minus di by dc is proportional to I. To remove proportionality, we are introducing a constant. So it becomes minus di by dc is equals to ki. Okay, so then what we do is we send all just on rearrangement. Okay, this is by only a rearrangement. Just by rearrangement, we send all I terms to one side. So minus di by I equals to k dc. We send dc to other side. So it is division. It is doing a division here. So if it goes to other side, it will go for multiplication. Okay. So minus di by dc equals to k dc. So then on integration of this equation, so what will happen on integration? Minus integrate di by I is equals to k into, k is a constant, k into integrate dc. Okay, just on integration it will become the same expression on integration. So minus integrate di by I is equals to k into dc. Okay, so on removing these integrations and introducing a integration constant, so this expression will become minus limit I is equals to kc plus b. Okay, just b is nothing but the integration constant. Okay, just to remove this integration and introduce a constant, we have kept a constant b. So here, okay, so here this equation, this expression minus limit I equals to kc plus b. So this is considered as equation 1. Okay. So from this equation, if we consider, okay, if we in the earlier equation, first equation, that is minus limit I equals to kc plus b. So here let us consider concentration of the absorbing species as 0. Okay, so concentration equals to 0. That means the medium is transparent. Okay, concentration is equals to 0. Okay, and I, that intensity of transmitted light, I equals to I naught. That means I intensity of transmitted light is equals to intensity of incident radiation. So let us consider when concentration is 0, whatever radiation that we are sending, okay, whatever the incident radiation is, that will be equal to transmitted radiation. The case 1 when we are studying the fundamental laws of absorption. Okay, according to the case 1, when the medium is transparent, that means when the concentration is 0, whatever incident radiation that we are sending, IA will be 0 and transmitted radiation will be 100%. So that means I will be equals to I naught. Okay, So let us just substitute 0 in place of C and I naught in place of I. So the expression will become minus limit I naught is equals to K into 0 plus B. Okay. So 0 into anything is 0. So that will become minus I limit I naught equals to B. Okay. So here we have got the value of B. So now in the next step what we do is we substitute the value of B in equation 1. Okay. So what is equation 1? Minus limit I equals to Kc plus B. In that equation we just replace B with minus limit I naught. So minus limit I equals to Kc minus limit I naught. Okay. So we have a symbol minus here. Okay. So then just on rearrangement. Okay. On rearrangement. Okay. On rearrangement we again send all i's to one side. So here this is minus here. So if it goes to the other side it will become plus. So limit I naught minus limit I equals to Kc. Okay. So then we have an equation which is, since a minus b log b equals to log a by b. So applying the same here, limit I naught minus limit I is equals to limit I naught by I. Okay. So limit I naught by I equals to Kc. Okay. So then we try to remove the log. So here we have this limit and log. So this will be removed. So on removing this we have a introduction of e. Okay. So by removing the natural logarithm, so I naught by I is equals to e power Kc. So here e is nothing but, the base e is nothing but a constant which is introduced by removing the natural logarithm. Okay. Base e is nothing but a replacement for removing the natural logarithm. Okay. So then on inverse of the reaction, inverse of the equation, just inverse on both sides. So this is I naught by I, on inverse it will become I by I naught. Okay. And here it is plus Kc. So this plus Kc on inversing it will become minus Kc. Okay. So again after that rearrangement of the equation. So on rearrangement this is a division here. So if this is sent to that side it will become multiplication. So I equals to I naught into e power Kc. So this is the expression which is derived from Beer's statement. Okay. So according to Beer's statements the expression was minus di by minus di by dc is proportional to I. So from this statement, on derivation from this statement we have got I equals to I naught into e power minus Kc. Okay. Similarly we have Lambert's statement. So Lambert's statements or Beer's statements are same, but the thing is Beer's has said it in terms of concentration, Lambert's has said it in terms of thickness of the medium. Okay. So when a beam of monochromatic radiation, when it is sent through a homogeneous absorbing medium, the rate of decrease in the intensity of radiation with thickness of the absorbing species. According to Beer's it is concentration, but according to Lambert's it is thickness. Okay. So the rate of decrease in the intensity of radiation with thickness of the absorbing medium is directly proportional to the intensity of incident radiation. So let us write the statement in terms of an equation. So minus di by dt is proportional to I. Okay. So here in Beer's we have here C in place of T. In Lambert's we have a T here. Okay. So that was with respect to concentration and this is with respect to thickness of the medium. Okay. So similarly on deriving, okay, as we have derived the Beer's law, Beer's statement, similarly if we apply the same derivation here, we get I equals to I naught into e power minus Kt. Okay. So this similarly as we derive according to Beer's we have C, here we have T. Just by replacing concentration with thickness in the derivation of Beer's law, we get I equals to I naught into e power minus Kt. Okay. So this is Lambert's equation. Okay. So the equation 3 is Lambert's equation. So then by combining Beer's equation and Lambert's equation, that is by combining equation 2 and 3, okay. So then we get I equals to I naught into e power minus kCt. According to Beer's, I equals to I naught into e power minus kc. According to Lambert's, it was I equals to I naught into e power minus kt. So by combining these two equations, we get I equals to I naught into e power minus kct. Okay. So here we convert this natural logarithm base to 10. Okay. Just by replacing base e with 10, we get I equals to I naught into 10 power minus kct. Okay. Just by replacing e with 10. Then we just rearrange the equation. Okay. So on rearranging, what will happen? I equals to, on rearrangement we send all i's to one side. I by I naught equals to 10 power minus kct. Okay. I by I naught equals to 10 power minus kct, just by rearranging this equation. So after rearranging, we inverse the equation. So on inversing, what will happen? I by I naught will become I naught by I. So I naught by I equals to 10 power plus kct. So here it is minus, so it will become plus kct. So then by taking log on both sides, okay. So on application of log on this side, it will become log I naught by I. Whereas by application of log on this side, so the base 10 will be removed. On application of log on the other side, base 10 will be removed. So it will become kct. Log I naught by I equals to kct. And we have already in the start of the fundamental laws of absorption, we have discussed absorbance is equals to, absorbance and transmittance have a relation, and absorbance is equals to A equals to log 1 by T. Okay. So when A equals to log 1 by T, we already have T equals to I naught by I. When T equals to I naught by I, 1 by T will become I naught by I. So log 10, this is log 10 into I naught by I. So that will become log I naught by I. So A equals to log I naught by I. Okay. So this we have A equals to log I naught by I, and log I naught by I equals to kct. That means A equals to B, B equals to C. So thereby A will be equal to C. So similarly A is equals to kct. Okay. So from this, okay, so from this absorbance is equals to K, which is a constant, into concentration into thickness. That means absorbance is directly proportional to concentration of the medium and thickness of the medium, thickness or path length of the medium. Okay. So this is the equation of Beer-Lambert's law. Okay. So this K can be replaced with epsilon. Okay. So K can be also, K is anyways a constant, we can take any term there. So it is replaced with epsilon. Okay. So A equals to epsilon Ct. So this equation A equals to epsilon Ct is the mathematical equation for Beer-Lambert's law. Okay. So from this we infer that A is directly proportional to absorption, A is directly proportional to concentration, and A is directly proportional to the thickness of the medium, that means the path length of the medium. Okay. So here A means absorbance, E is nothing but the molecular extension coefficient. Okay. E epsilon is nothing but the molecular extension coefficient. Okay. C means concentration of the sample, and T means path length. Normally the path length of the cuvettes that we normally used for the standard equipment is 1 centimeter, or it is 10 millimeters. Okay. And E is given by the equation E equals to 1% 1 centimeter into molecular weight of the compound by 10. So it is E 1% 1 centimeter into molecular weight whole by 10. Okay. So this E 1% 1 centimeter is again a specific value for the compound. So based on the chemical species or based on the drug, so we have this as a specific value which can be obtained from the literature. Okay. So in the molecular weight of the compound, whatever the molecular weight of the compound, what is the molecular weight of the chemical species under investigation, that molecular weight divided by 10. Okay, and we have something called as Emax. So we have already seen this in the shifts. Emax is the corresponding value of lambda max. Okay, normally this Emax, lambda max, these are all specific for a compound. They are used for the qualitative analysis, which means for the identification of a sample. Okay, so this is the derivation of Beer-Lambert's law. So some important terms of absorption spectroscopy. So the first term that we are going to learn is about chromophores. So chromophores are a part of molecule which are used to impart color to the compound. Okay, so as the name indicates, chromo means color. So they are used to impart color. Okay, so the other name of chromophores is chromospheres. Chromophores has another name called chromospheres. Okay, so these are the other definition of this chromophores is that, so these are of some functional groups which contain multiple bonds which are capable of absorbing the radiations. Okay, so some multiple bonds which are present in a compound which are capable of absorbing the radiations are called the chromophores. So these chromophores are usually the compounds which have either N to pi star transition or pi to pi star transition. So we already know pi to pi star means pi electrons are means, so they should have either double bonds or triple bonds. That means they need to have some unsaturation. And N means N orbital, so N electrons are non-bonding, so they are seen in heteroatoms. So the compounds which are having heteroatoms and unsaturations are taken as examples for chromophores. For example, we have NO2, N double bond O, C double bond O, C double bond N, C triple bond N, C double bond C, C double bond S, etc. Heteroatom with a unsaturation, or only molecules with unsaturations. Okay, so they are called the chromophores. Okay, they are used to impart color. They impart color, and also they are the functional groups which are having multiple bonds which are capable of absorbing radiations. And then oxochrome. Okay, here these oxochromes, when they are separated, okay, so when they are separated or they are existing individually, they do not absorb any radiation. But when they are combined with a chromophore, they increase the absorption wavelength of a chromophore, or they increase the absorption intensity of a chromophore. Individually they have no absorption, but when they are combined with a chromophore, they shift the lambda max of a chromophore, that is wavelength maximum of a chromophore, to higher wavelength, or they increase the absorption capacity of the chromophore. Okay, and the functional groups, what type of functional groups act as oxochromes is non-bonding electrons. The functional groups which have non-bonding electrons are used as some of the examples of oxochromes. Okay, so for example, let us take benzene. Benzene is a chromophore. Okay, benzene has unsaturations. It has 3 ethylenic bonds. Okay, so this benzene acts as a chromophore. So this is a chromophore. So this has a lambda max value of 255 nanometers. So it has a lambda max of 255 nanometer. When this is attached with the oxochrome, for example, let us take an oxochrome hydroxy group OH. So here oxygen is having lone pair of electrons. So this oxochrome OH group, individually when it is separated, it doesn't have any absorption. It doesn't have any absorption of radiation at any lambda. Whereas when this OH group is attached to benzene, it results in formation of phenol. So this phenol has a lambda max value of 270 nanometer. Okay, so the chromophore benzene is having 255 nanometer, but when a oxochrome OH group is attached, from 255 the lambda max value is increased to 270 nanometer. Okay, so here oxochrome is OH. OH individually it has no wavelength, it has no absorption, but when it is attached to a chromophore, it shifts the lambda max value of a chromophore to longer range, it shifts to a higher value. Similarly NH2, so NH2 also, like NH2 also, it's a chromophore. Nitrogen is having again lone pair of electrons. When this NH2 is isolated, when it is separated, it doesn't have any absorption, it acts as a oxochrome. But when this oxochrome is attached to a chromophore, okay, when this same example benzene we take, to benzene when we add NH2, normally the lambda max value of benzene is 255 nanometer. So when NH2 group is attached, it becomes aniline, and this aniline has a lambda max of 280 nanometer. Okay, so for the benzene normally it is 255, which is a chromophore, the lambda max value is 255 nanometer. On addition of OH group, it becomes phenol, and the lambda max value is 270. Similarly, the same example benzene we are taking, to that we are adding one more oxochrome, which is NH2, and this NH2 on addition it results in formation of aniline. So this aniline has a lambda max value of 280. So from 255 it is changed to 280 by addition of NH2. So this is how an oxochrome, when it is attached to a chromophore, shifts the lambda max to longer side, or it increases the lambda max value of a chromophore, or it increases the absorption intensity of a chromophore. So that is about chromophore and oxochromes. Then we are going to discuss about some shifts and effects with respect to wavelength, and with respect to molar absorptivity coefficient. We are going to discuss about shifts and effects. Okay, so shift of a wavelength. Okay, shifts happen with corresponding to the wavelength. Okay, so here this lambda max is nothing but the wavelength at which maximum absorption takes place. The lambda max is nothing but wavelength maximum, the wavelength at which maximum absorption of radiation takes place, that wavelength is called lambda max. And this lambda max value is specific for a compound. Okay, it is characteristic for a compound, and it is a qualitative term, that means it is used for the identification of a compound. Then we have absorbance. Absorbance is taken on the y-axis. So here we have the Emax value, which is molar extension coefficient. So molar extension coefficient, the other name is molar absorptivity coefficient, which is given as Emax, and this Emax is the value at lambda max. Okay, so molar extension coefficient, the extent to which the absorption happens. Okay, so normally the Emax is the value of lambda max. So here we are discussing about shifts and effects. The shifts happen with respect to lambda max of the compound. Shifts happen with respect to lambda max of a compound, whereas effects happen with respect to Emax of the compound. Okay, the shift in the wavelength maxima to longer range is called bathochromic shift. It's called as bathochromic shift. So this bathochromic shift, the other name of this bathochromic shift is red shift. Similarly, the shift in the lambda max value to shorter side, okay, shorter side, then it is called hypsochromic shift, HYPSO, hypsochromic shift. The other name of hypsochromic shift is blue shift. Okay, so suppose if we take from 400 nanometer to 800 nanometer. Okay, so this is the VIBGYOR region. This side we have the blue region, and this side we have the red region. So accordingly, this side, the shift towards this side, to longer side, towards 800 side, it's called red shift. Whereas the shift towards 400 nanometer range, it's called blue shift, as it is towards the blue region of the VIBGYOR. Okay, so this red shift or bathochromic shift. So how can a lambda max value change to a longer side? That is by addition of a chromophore or by addition of a oxochrome. Just now we have seen the examples. By addition of a oxochrome increase in conjugations, by alkylation of the compounds, and various solvent effects. Various solvent effects by addition of a chromophore or addition of a oxochrome, by the increase in conjugation, that means increase in unsaturations, more number of double bonds and triple bonds, alkylation, addition of alkali groups, and then by various solvent effects. So all these may results in bathochromic shift, which is also called as red shift. Similarly, hypsochromic shift, that is decrease in the lambda max value or shift in the lambda max value to longer wavelength side. So this is because of the opposite effects like removal of chromophores. So that was addition. So this is removal of chromophores, removal of oxochromes, removal of conjugations or decrease in conjugations, dealkylation of the compounds, dealkylation, that means removal of the alkali groups, and various solvent effects. So some solvents have chromophores and oxochromes in them, the functional groups. Some of the solvents will have the chromophoric functional groups and oxochromic functional group, which may lead to increase in the lambda max value, and some will remove the because of the solvent effects, because of various chemical effects and associations or dissociations that are happening in the compound with the interaction of a solvent. So that may result in hypsochromic effect. Okay. And similarly, hyperchromic effect and hypochromic effect. So these are with respect to the Emax of a compound, that means based on the absorption intensity. So here shift in the or increase in the Emax value is called hyperchromic shift. Hyperchromic shift means increase in the Emax value. Similarly, decrease in the Emax value is called hypochromic effect. Increase means hyper, decrease means hypo. Okay. So those are called hyperchromic effect and hypochromic effect respectively. So here let us take an example of the hyperchromic effect. For suppose we have pyridine. Okay. Pyridine has a Emax value of 2750 nanometer. Pyridine has a pyridine has a Emax value of 2750, whereas methylpyridine. So when a methyl substitution is added to this pyridine, it results in methylpyridine. So this methylpyridine has a Emax value of 3660. Okay. So the Emax value of methylpyridine is 3660. That means from 2750 it is increased to 3660. So there is a increase in the Emax value, that means it is hyperchromic effect. So here with the shifts in the Emax value, the shifts in the lambda max will also occur. So normally pyridine has a lambda max value of 257 nanometer. Has a lambda max value of 257 nanometer, and this methylpyridine has a lambda max value of 262 nanometer. Okay. So with the Emax shift in the Emax value, the lambda max value will also increase. Okay. So normally the Emax value is the value at the lambda max. Okay. Emax value has a correspondence lambda max value, and both are characteristic for a compound. Both are used for the qualitative analysis for identification purpose. So whenever there is a change in the Emax value, the corresponding values of the lambda max will also increase or decrease respectively. So similarly in the hypochromic effect, so for example we have biphenyl. So biphenyl has a Emax value of 19,000, has a Emax value of 19,000, whereas methyl biphenyl has a Emax value of 10,250. Okay, so from 19,000 the Emax value was decreased to 10,250. So that means it is having this hypochromic effect. So decrease in the Emax value is called hypochromic effect. Increase in value is called hyper and decrease is called hypo. Next, coming to the fundamental laws of absorption. So here the fundamental laws of absorption, whatever radiations that we are giving to the sample, okay, so some of the radiation is reflected, some of the radiation is absorbed, and some of the unabsorbed radiation is transmitted. Okay, so for the fate of the radiation which is given to the sample, either reflection or absorption or transmission will be there. Okay, so for suppose we have taken a cuvette, okay, the sample cell that we are using in the spectrophotometers is normally called a cuvette. So into the cuvette we have taken the sample solution and we are passing the radiation, we are passing the incident radiation. Okay, if we consider the incident radiation which we are sending through the sample as I0, okay, some of the radiation will be absorbed and the absorbed radiation is denoted by IA. Okay, whatever radiation is being absorbed is considered as IA, and some of the radiation will get reflected. Okay, some of the radiation gets reflected and which is denoted by IR, and some of the radiation gets transmitted and the transmitted radiation is denoted by IT. Okay, so whatever radiation we are giving, it can either be absorbed or it will be transmitted or it will be reflected. So if we consider the incident radiation to be I0, so IR is the reflected radiation, IT is the transmitted radiation, and IA is the absorbed radiation. So then we have I0, the incident radiation, is equals to sum of reflected radiation plus absorbed radiation plus transmitted radiation. So intensity of incident radiation is equals to intensity of reflected radiation plus intensity of absorbed radiation plus intensity of transmitted radiation. Transmitted radiation is nothing but the unabsorbed radiation as it is passing through the sample. And then coming to the laws involved in the UV visible spectrophotometer, there are three main laws. Normally they are given by two scientists, the Beers and Mr. Lamberts. So accordingly they are named after the scientist, Beer's law, Lambert's law. And in the combination of these two laws, Beer's and Lambert's law, is given as Beer-Lambert's law. So for application of a Beer-Lambert's law, there is one main condition, that is intensity of incident radiation I0 should be equal to IA, that is intensity of absorbed radiation plus intensity of transmitted radiation. So here normally Beer-Lambert's law, here whatever samples that we are going to take, they are very diluted solution, so there is no chance of reflection of radiations. Okay, and the cuvettes that we are taking are having non-reflective surfaces, so here there is no question of reflection. Okay, no, reflection will not happen. So whatever intensity of radiation that we are sending through a sample, it will either get absorbed or it will get transmitted. So I0 equals to IA plus IT. Okay, so here suppose if we take a cuvette, if you are sending, cuvette with sample solution, diluted sample solution, if you are passing the incident radiation I0, okay, some amount of the radiation is absorbed and some amount of the radiation is transmitted. Okay, here if we account that incident radiation is 100%, 100% radiation is sent, out of which 5% radiation is absorbed, 5% radiation is absorbed, that means transmitted radiation will be 100 minus 5, that will be 95%. Okay, so out of 100% radiation which is sent through the sample, the chemical species which is present that will absorb 5%, if it absorbs 5% of the radiation, and the remaining radiation, that means 95% radiation, should be transmitted. Okay. So this Beer-Lambert's law is applicable only when I naught equals to IA plus IT. So here let us consider two cases. So let us consider two cases. Case 1, we have taken transparent solution. So when we are taking a transparent solution, that means IA will be 0. So because the medium is completely transparent, there will be no absorption of radiation. So IA will be 0. Okay. Then what will happen to IT? Transmitted radiation will be whatever is incident, it will be transmitted. So IT will be equals to IA. So whatever you are giving, if you are giving 100% of radiation, if 100%, sorry, so if you are giving 100% radiation, so when intensity of absorbed radiation is 0, when there is no absorption by the chemical species. Okay, so then all the radiation which we are giving will be transmitted. So intensity of transmitted radiation will be equal to intensity of incident radiation. So IT will be equals to I naught. Okay, when we are considering a transparent solution, when absorption is 0, IT will be equals to I naught. Case 2 will be, okay, so when we are sending some radiation, when we are sending some intensity of radiation towards the sample, and that is not a transparent solution, it has some chemical species, and chemical species are capable of absorbing the radiation. So when they are capable of absorbing the radiation, they will absorb the radiation. So thereby the IA will be more than 0. Okay. So if it is transparent, it will be 0 because of absence of absorbing species. But here it is not transparent, it is having some chemical component which is able to absorb the radiation. So IA, intensity of absorbed radiation, will be more than 0. Then what will happen to IT? IT will be less than 100. It is not completely 100%. Some amount is reduced. Okay, some amount is absorbed by the absorbing species. So remaining will be only get transmitted. So it is less than 100%. Less than 100%. So then the relation is intensity of incident radiation is greater than the intensity of transmitted radiation. Okay. So here only two are there, only two cases. If the absorbing species is not capable, if the taken compound, if the chemical species is completely a transparent solution. Okay. So then no absorption will take place and intensity of transmitted radiation will be equal to intensity of incident radiation. Whatever we are giving, that will get transmitted out. Okay. Whereas in second case, if absorption happens, then absorption is more than 0, transmission is less than 100%. So thereby intensity of incident radiation will be more than transmitted, because transparent is not 100%, it is less than 100%. Okay. So this will be one relation and this will be the other relation. Okay. The next is coming to the absorbance and transmittance. The absorbance is given by intensity of incident radiation divided by intensity of transmitted radiation. Transmitted radiation we can denote it by either T, IT or I. Okay. So I am denoting it by I. So absorbance is equals to intensity of incident radiation I naught divided by I. Okay. Whereas transmittance, T equals to intensity of transmitted radiation I divided by intensity of incident radiation I naught. Okay. So both are reverse. Absorbance equals to I naught by I, transmittance equals to I by I naught. And we have a relation A equals to absorbance equals to log 10 1 by T. A equals to log 10 1 by t. So here t means I by I naught. So thereby 1 by t will become I naught by I. Okay, t means I by I naught, 1 by t means I naught by I. So here A equals to log 10 1 by t, we have I naught by I. Okay, so log 10 value is 1. That means A equals to 1 into I naught by I, which is nothing but A equals to I naught by I. Okay, okay, so the relation between absorbance and transmittance is given by log 10 1 by t. Okay, but where absorbance is equals to again I naught by I, because 1 by t is nothing but I naught by I. So we substitute it in this, and then log 10 value is 1. So 1 into anything is again the same value, the constant. So A equals to I naught by I.